Okay, so let's just get into the fun stuff, because the first item that I want to talk about is the Squiggly Mirror. There's a lot of squiggles going around at the moment, and the Squiggly Mirror is one that has been spoken a lot about. It's described as like the most Instagrammable mirror in the world or something, and this mirror is... Sorry, one second, I need some coffee. Okay, caffeinated. Let's go. So the original Squiggle Mirror was designed by Ettore Sottsass for Poltronova in 1970, and it's called the Ultrafragola mirror. And this was part of his complete bedroom living room series, but it was the only item that actually made it past the prototype phase. It's a mirror lamp, and the design is very particular. Like when you see a picture, you guarantee you've seen it. As I said, it's the most Instagrammable mirror on the planet. But whether or not it's timeless is a little bit interesting, because so the shape resembles long wavy hair, and it's got this pink neon light, and it's very bold. It's a centerpiece, and this is what makes me question whether or not it's timeless. And I kind of want to say that it's not. I kind of want to say that it's trendy. Now, if you have a space that allows for this to like smoothly fit in, then perhaps it could be timeless for you if that's your style. But I think for an average Joe, it's gonna be a trendy item. And there's a lot of DIY versions of the Squiggle Mirror. Like I've seen people kind of make their own squiggles out of either plywood or cardboard. And I think perhaps if this is an item that you really like, this is a safer option. You could buy the Hovet mirror from IKEA, which is like just a big... This to me is a timeless mirror, but you could then DIY your own squiggles, glue it, and then you could buy some like neon LED lights and tape on the frame behind, and then you can have your squiggle mirror, and when it's not trending anymore, you can just remove the squiggles and you will have a big old mirror. But as of right now, for the average Joe, not timeless. Next one, the Togo Sofa. You've seen this, for sure you've seen this. Like it's in literally every interior design page on Instagram. This sofa is there, and it's kind of one of those items that annoy me a little bit, just because I don't know how I feel about it, because I think it's cool, but would I want it in my own home? It was designed by Michel Ducorin, pardon my French, in 1973 for Lingenbrosset. Anyway, it was first presented at a furnishing expo in Paris in 1973, and it's never been out of production ever since it entered the market, like the last 40 years. It actually turns 50 years next year, I think, and I think it sold more than 1 million pieces during the last 49 years. So that in itself kind of already gives it away what I want to say, whether or not it's timeless or trendy. But it's an interesting piece, because the Togo Sofa was the first sofa ever to be made entirely out of, and I don't know how to pronounce this word, so I'm going to read it, polyurethane foam. Polyurethane? I'm gonna just write it. I don't English is not my first language, okay? Anyway, it's got no frame, and funnily enough, when it was first released, people were like, did you forget the frame? Did you forget the legs? Like, what's going on? But it's actually one of those things that has made it such a popular piece. It's made out of polyester and 3 different densities of poly. You know the name that I can say. Another important part of the design is the stitching, or the like quilting, which is one of the most like recognizable characteristics of the Togo Sofa. Now, is it timeless? Is it trendy? I definitely think that it's trending right now, but I do think it is timeless for several reasons. Maybe the most important reason why it's timeless is that fact that it's a modular sofa, meaning that it's got many different ways of being constructed depending on your house. Each module is designed to be able to exist independently. Like, you don't need to make it a sofa group. You could have it as a chair, which I think makes the design really flexible. Like, if I were to have this piece, I think I would have it as a chair, not as a sofa. Another part is the fact that you have a ton of colors and fabrics to choose between, and you also have the possibility of potentially mixing different colors and different textures in several modules, creating more of a personal look. I'm not saying that any other sofa can't be mixed or matched, but this being a bit of an iconic 70s design, but then also you having this chameleon effect if you will, is part of what makes it timeless, I think. At the time, it was also considered extremely affordable, but since it seems to be every influencer's favorite sofa, it's not affordable anymore. It's actually so expensive. Like, it's insane. Next one's a funny one. It's the Murano mushroom lamp. It was first popularized in the 70s by glass manufacturers on the Murano island in Venice, Italy. And the lamp itself is known for Italian craftsmanship, which is somehow the reoccurring theme within postmodernism. Fun fact, Venetian glass is the broad name given to glass manufactured in Venice, Italy. But at the time, in these like glass making factories, there were a lot of fires. So in the late 1200s, city officials, they mandated that the glass manufacturers had to move to the Murano island, so if there was a fire, the city would be safe, but it was still like in close proximity, and that's why it's called Murano glass, because you know it's made on this island. I think it is a timeless piece because its historic background and the craftsmanship behind it. Like, each lamp is individually made and each lamp is a little bit different than the other, so you have a unique piece, and it's kind of like glass art, because even when it's not lit, it will still be a beautiful piece to display on your mantle or your shelves. Murano glass is also considered to be some of the most expertly crafted glass in the world. The shape itself might not be as timeless because, as we see right now, is a trending item. There are a million versions of this lamp which are not the real deal. I think if you buy a mushroom lamp from IKEA or Urban Outfitters, that's trendy. But if you get an actual Murano mushroom lamp, that's going to be a timeless piece. But they also have an egg-shaped lamp, which potentially could be more timeless in terms of like the shape, but still kind of having those like swirls and all of this. So I want to say timeless, but definitely trending right now. If you do get the mushroom, they're gorgeous, like, don't get me wrong, I kind of want one, but I think I would opt for the egg-shaped or the like round shape, or potentially sconces. Dream is the chandelier. They have some chandeliers they are absolutely magnificent, but spenny, that's the kind of money that I don't have. Next one's a bit of a controversial one, in my opinion, because it's the tiled cube. Have you seen this? Because I'm seeing it everywhere, and I don't know how I feel about it. Strong 80s influence, very 80s influence on this cube, because you know in the 80s every surface was tiled, and I didn't really know whether or not I think it's a timeless or a trendy piece, because there are so many different versions of it. I think the most like well-known manufacturer is a Scandinavian company called Icon København or Icon Copenhagen, and they've been around since 2016. But even their cubes they're expensive. They're like $700. If you opt for one of the more neutral ones, it has the potential to become timeless because it's very versatile in terms of use. Like, you could use it as a side table, you could use it as like next to your bed, you could use it as a chair. Like, it's very flexible, but I don't know if it's been around long enough to us being able to make a decision whether it's timeless or not. Like, we can backtrack the design to the 1960s with a table called the Quaterna table. It's like a collector's item. It's going to cost you a ton of money, but you can even see it in museums as an example of the kind of like radical design style of the 60s, 70s. But yeah, I don't know if it's timeless. Let me know what you think. I think it has the potential to be timeless, but I don't know. And you know, when I was thinking about this, I was kind of like, okay, but what about the more like mid-century or like wooden tables with a tiled surface? Are those maybe more timeless? But then this tiled cube is very like simple, it's very symmetrical, which potentially makes it able to fit into future design trends or interior design styles, whereas one of these like wooden tables with the tiled surface, they're a little bit more retro, a little bit more, I don't think they are timeless. So I'm conflicted. I don't know where I stand on this. Let me know. Oh yeah, a downside about it is also the fact that it's very heavy. Like, it's a tiled table. But let me also just say that if you really want a tiled table and you think you're gonna DIY it, just do your research. I tell you, some of these DIYs are not good. Next one is the checkerboard rugs. I don't think I even need to say it. they're trendy, and I'm not a fan. And I feel like this has just been a trend that's been kind of, they started with the gingham, I don't know how to pronounce it, gingham in clothing, and then suddenly there's like just checkerboard everywhere. And don't get me wrong, I actually do really like the pattern, but I don't think that checkerboard rugs are gonna hold up for a long time, if I'm being completely honest. I think they're already on their way out. But I think that if you have checkerboard tiles, that's definitely timeless in my opinion. I would love to have it in a future house. Next item is paper lamps. How do we feel about paper lamps? I feel pretty good about paper lamps, if I'm being completely honest. I think paper lamps are freaking cute, and I feel like I'm seeing them a lot more now than I have the last, I don't know, couple of years. Rice paper lamps have their roots in East Asia, in particular Japan and China, and are used for carnivals, festivals, public holidays. Again, these lamps were really popular during the 80s in Europe particularly, and then they disappeared for a while, and it was kind of like exchanged for more industrialized lamps, but they've come back and they've become a staple of modern design as we know it today. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Akari lamps by Vitra. They're designed by Isamu Noguchi, who started designing them during the 1950s, and he named them Akari from the Japanese word for illumination or like light. I think there's 40 different lamps in this series, and they're gorgeous. They're so pretty, but they're definitely a little spinny. But I think these are timeless for many different reasons, particularly their organic form and use of natural materials. There's a lot of different shapes, a lot of different colors you can choose from, which makes the design quite flexible. They give a very warm, comfortable glow, and is a very decorative type of lighting or like lamp. They suit more or less any home, any style, because you can choose from so many different kind of shapes and colors, and it can be a really affordable option. Like you can buy, I think this is one of those designs that you don't have to go with the design. Like it doesn't have to be an Akari lamp for it to look good and be a nice item in your home. Like you can go IKEA or any other design or the interior design shop is going to sell a paper lamp and it's going to look cute. So definitely a timeless piece in my opinion. They look really cute. Like there's a lot of different ways to use paper lamps, and so I'm a fan. Are you? Okay, I think those are all the things I want to talk about today. Believe me, my list was much longer, but I think the common denominator through all of the items I've discussed today, I think they're all trending at the moment, and trending items can blind us. So I think that those items which are iconic design pieces are much more timeless, but I still think that you should really consider your purchase when you're buying one of these items. Just because you see 150 Togo Sofas on your Instagram every day doesn't mean that you should have one. Just because you see 1,000 Murano mushroom lamps doesn't mean that you should have one. But my personal opinion on this is that if you want the Murano mushroom lamp, you save up and you buy the Murano mushroom lamp. You don't buy the Urban Outfitters version of the Murano mushroom lamp, because any copy of an iconic design is always going to be trendy. If you buy a cheap copy of an iconic design, the value is dropping as soon as you bought it. Whereas if you buy the real deal, it will continue to stay valuable, and you will get, if you decide to resell it at some point, you'll get your money worth. That's just my personal preference and my personal opinion, and I just think that you don't have to have trendy pieces for your home to look great. The most important thing is to consider what's going to make you happy. What do you want to surround yourself with every day, and what's going to make you happy in your home? I'm rambling now, but these are my thoughts. So let me know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you next time.